Okay, next chart, Germaine Greer, feminist leader and writer. Okay, she's interesting because you think a writer, for being the writer, the Aquarius, with Aquarius rising, sure you can see she could be writing about these things, very knowledgeable. With the Taurus moon, I have this, I have that, likes his comforts, likes his security. And the moon is conjunct Uranus, so it's an unconventional one, but still it's in Taurus, that moon in Taurus. So this is, if she's the feminist writer, she's writing about what she has or doesn't have. It would have a very physical take on things. But if you change it to the Leo, with a Leo rising, ta-da, here's me, and a Scorpio moon, then your feelings are much more judgmental. It's ruled by Mars instead of ruled by Venus. It's no fair. I'm not being treated the same way. I feel I can do anything that anyone else can do. Moon in Scorpio. Don't tell me what to do. Moon in Scorpio, and has that Aries competitiveness with it. I can be as good as any man. I can be good at anyone. It has that competitiveness and that judgmentalness, and to be able to break free of the normal inhibited adjustments. That's the Uranus on the moon. Breaks free to make. Well, why can't I be free? Why can't women could do anything the guy could do? Why could you can see the feminist leader here using her judgmental side of people relating to her sexually and expectations around that Scorpio side, and being judgmental around it, being able to put don't expect that, don't expect this. I'm too proud for this. I'm too proud. Like, treat me the way I want to be treated. There it is. I am who I am. But the Taurus moon is more inclined to take the extra treatment. I'll take to get things. So by nature, the Scorpio moon here is the more feminist. Right, we can get into the chart more, but that's a basic association. It's one that she would have her Aquarian effect on the Northern Hemisphere, but she's being Leo with the Scorpio moon, and personally she's processing in a very judgmental and proud way. So let's just go down to and then you see her chart where you just change the signs, has the same thing. The Sun and Mercury in Leo and the Mercury in Cancer in the 12th house. So the Mercury in Cancer, feminine sign, thinking, opposed by Pluto. This is bullshit. This isn't right. Who could think like that? Don't talk to me like that. I'm not. They can see part of the anger of the feminist in Cancer more than in Capricorn. It'd be more strategic in Capricorn. And the Sun, Pluto opposes the Sun too. What, you're not looking at me? You're looking at my body, not looking at me? What? Okay, so you can see that Pluto there. The moon in Scorpio conjunct Uranus in the 4th. I'm not living a normal way. I'm not just going to be a traditional housewife. I'm not just going to be saying, no. The moon and Uranus would be in the 4th house anyways, but in Taurus is different than in Scorpio. The Scorpio judgment around us and being motivated by that. The IC is being in Scorpio, being motivated to fight and to live those judgments out. It's very different to be motivated for your security or for your resources. The moon in Taurus is more likely to be rewarded for your femininity. So Southern Hemisphere chart, the opposite chart is almost your alter ego. It's not who you are. Like, we have these two sides. These are just examples to think about. December 17th, 36, Pope Francis. You would think, oh, a Sag got, the Northern Hemisphere chart was a Sag with Aquarius moon. Let's see too early here, we'll get it. But a Sag Aquarius moon and a Cancer rising. You see that cautious? You see that conservative? Like, maybe. We see it like that in Northern Hemisphere. But when you take the Southern Hemisphere chart and you see the Gemini with a Leo moon, he is a very flamboyant. He has his own style. He has his own thinking. He's done his own things. He's even worked in business. His own thing. He's really radical and very independent for a Pope. His own individual ways, but he affects the Northern Hemisphere, Vatican and people. They chose someone out of the hemisphere to get someone different than from the Northern Hemisphere. Like, it got chosen. He would have the Sagittarian effect, an Aquarian effect on the Vatican, but his nature is the Gemini and the Leo. Now, so I mean, it gets more interesting. You take the houses and you see how the signs fit on the house to reinforce this. We don't have the time to do this, so I'm going to look at a whole bunch of charts. So I just want to go through this so you're seeing the quick association. Say, wow, okay. And you think, can that be so? And see it. That's how it happened to me. By looking at it, how do you know someone else perfectly? You can't. It's what the pieces we know, whatever. But his being the Sun Gemini, he really didn't want to live in the Vatican. He really wanted to be more in his own in Argentina. But he ended up having to move Sun Jupiter. But it was a fortunate move with Sun Jupiter in Gemini. And Jupiter's in Cancer, but it's in the 7th house. But the Moon in Leo, the being of service and being proud of being service, being the best at being service. So once he decided to become a priest, that's more shown in his, where is it? Uranus squares Venus. I don't fit it. The normal satisfactions aren't turning me on. It's not getting to me. And the Saturn opposed Neptune, that goes more towards mystical, artistic things. Not so you get disenchanted by the business. But those are the aspects. That would have been in either chart. The attitude of being the Pope is being the best. It's like the king is me. The Pope is me. That suits a Gemini Leo, but without the conditions of everybody else. But even at the beginning, he didn't want to drive in the Pope mobile. He wanted to go independently. He wanted to take the transit. It would have cramped his style a little bit. To change it, you just cross out the signs and put the other signs in it, and you can see. So there's the Moon in Leo with Venus in Leo with it. In the 7th house, the Sun in the 6th house in Gemini, squared by Neptune, squared by Saturn. That's the not fitting into normal, doing what I believe. And still, he has his own independent take on how it should be. His own style of how it should be. Really, he came in a very independent nature compared to normal catering and buying into the Vatican. So there were struggles between him and the organization of the Vatican at the beginning, maybe still. Okay, another chart. I like this one, very dramatic and going. Roberta Close. He was the first man to have the sex change to a woman. Okay, he's born 1962, December 7th, 6:40 in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. And so he would be his northern hemisphere chart is a Sagittarius with an Aries moon and Capricorn rising, but a grand trine in Leo, with a grand trine with all his with his Saturn. But there's a double grand trine in the fire signs, but the fire is a problem. The Sun and Sag, the Moon and Aries, the impulsiveness, the blatancy, the dramatics, the assertiveness, that need to be impulsive. It's in masculine signs. So there's almost a dramatic need to be impulsive, to be dramatic, to be male almost. That's the northern hemisphere chart. As soon as you change it, you can't. It's hard to imagine someone with the Moon and Aries say, "I got to be the opposite sign." They'd be more mad at whatever, or be more impulsive, more proud of who they are. Change the signs. You get the Gemini with the Libra Moon. The Gemini with conjunct Mercury. It's in the 12th house. So the Mercury Gemini is thinking. We'll just go along to this chart, but I just wanted to see this reversal to see them. And the Gemini with the Libra Moon. Okay, now I'll still go back. I'm sorry. I'll still go back to this other one. The Gemini with the Libra Moon. A Gemini, I can do anything. I'm independent. With a Cancer ascendant, being really sensitive. My personality is really sensitive. I'm thinking really independently. I'm really sensitive. That ascendant ties into the Moon rulership, not the Saturn rulership of the northern hemisphere chart. That ascendant rulership ties into the Moon. Where's the Moon in Libra? The Moon's in Libra, the sign of beauty, of sharing, ruled by Venus, the planet of love. I feel I'm a woman. I feel need to be loved. I feel need to be appreciated. Suddenly, the Moon gets highlighted in Libra as a really important, prominent factor for who I am and how I feel. Very different than in Moon and Aries. And the Sag, with it being aware of social implications, They might have multiple personalities, but they're not the same. The Gemini would be independent enough to think, well, why would I stay here? Why would I keep doing it? If I have a chance to change it, why wouldn't I? So his moon being in Libra, much more inclined to be more feminine and more Venus ruled. I love beautiful things. Not the masculine moon in Aries. I don't want to play sports. I like the beautiful things. And it fits with the Cancer ascendant ruling it. Now the moon ruled by Venus. Venus is over in Taurus, and the sign it rules. It's conjunct Neptune of the dreamy, the adventurous, the romantic. You could say it's gullible, it's incredibly exotic. So you could see how he could be the woman. It's practical. You can see the beauty of it. The Neptune there. In Scorpio, that Venus is a much more negative thing. I'm not happy with it. You can see it being partly there. It's squared by Saturn. There's a discontent and it leads to escape from it. But it's the moon in Libra, it's the hinge on here where you can see this. The moon in Aries wouldn't do that. The pride of the fire sign wouldn't change like that. But the air sign, the curiosity, Gemini independence, the Libra moon, the Cancer ascendant feeding into it, the Venus in Taurus building up. Why can't I be like that? I don't like what I am. Why can't I change? That's the Gemini kicking in. You can see how that decision would be made to change that, and how she could live with that decision once made. So there's the chart. It becomes the grand trine in air signs with Moon, Mars, Venus. But this rulership really, you really see it by the nature of the signs and the rulerships and how they connect. And the independence of the Cancer ascendant, the Gemini Sun, reflecting who am I? How do I need to be? Oh, totally. It's a really distinct difference from the Northern Hemisphere chart. Even though the houses and the planets and the aspects are the same, the sign attitudes and the rulerships really different. And the Gemini will try something that other people wouldn't try. The Sag would try and get a lot of opinions first. So again, here's the chart with the sign. You cross out the sign, you put in the sign, the opposite sign between it, and you get the Southern Hemisphere chart. And for some people, they're used to using the houses, not really specifically, so they use this chart more, and they're more comfortable using it for. So you can use your computer program. Just when you get the chart printout, you write this in, or you find a way of posting this in on using Photoshop and putting the signs in on top of the other signs. Just on the computer. Any graphic program should be able to let you do that. Okay, another pretty great character, J.R.R. Tolkien, author of The Lord of the Rings. Look at the imagination it takes to write The Lord of the Rings with the hobbits and their little homes and their hairy little feet and their stubby little names, but they're comfortable in their little places, protected against the world in their own little shire, and then there's all the darkness outside they have to relate to. Okay,